Hello and welcome to Insights in Action with Orange 142, where we interview agency leaders and business owners to uncover the journeys, the strategies, and the insights that drive their success. At Orange 142, we're all about transforming brand stories into impactful digital experiences through innovative media and marketing solutions. And today I'm very lucky to be joined by Ramsey of Aqaba Digital. How's it going, Ramsey?
It's going great.
Awesome. Ramsey, I would love to just start this off by learning a little bit more about your background and a little bit more about your agency.
Sure. Well, my technical background stems from automotive engineering and my project management and data management applied in the digital agency world stems from my numerous hours of training at GM and other tier suppliers, tier one, tier two suppliers to the big three. And when I left in '98, I kind of packaged that up into my newfound digital world and leveraged that skill set as I expanded into the digital realm.
Wow, awesome. And so you have a pretty interesting story in that you transitioned from collaborating with Yahoo Argentina, where you first encountered like PPC and SEM, to establishing your agency from your living room. I mean, what motivated you to venture into entrepreneurship?
Well, it was something that I was extremely fascinated with when I was stationed. I was COO of global operations for Worldwide Wireless Communications back in the day. And we established a footprint in Argentina, BSAS Argentina. And we were approached by Yahoo Argentina. And when I met with Yahoo in Argentina, and I went to their corporate office, they were talking about PPC and paid ads, and Google was just incorporated and applying for their trading status for the big boards. And so it was all new and fascinating to me. I didn't understand pay-per-click. So as they started to explain it to me, it kind of clicked. It's like, you mean the entire globe will click on your ads, and in exchange, you get paid for advertisers. And lo and behold, when the bubble burst, the dot-com bubble burst in 2000 through 2002, returned to Oakland, California, and we were trying to salvage the company, and his funding dried up, and I kept in touch with Yahoo Argentina, and 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 I tried to figure out a way to recreate myself and find a position for me somehow or another in PPC. So I decided to go and work for a local agency. I got approached by a friend of mine, and I returned to Michigan, which is my home, and came on board as VP of advertising, then eventually became vice president of the agency. And then I left through a push by my friends at Yahoo Argentina to start my own business. So I did freelancing and started my own SEM company. It was Aqaba SEM. And that was all inspired by Yahoo, which, by the way, the irony of this conversation is, Yahoo is no longer a
Yeah.
paid search engine, but more of a media provider, and a darn good one. The agency of today did not exist before. Digital advertising agency was not in vogue. You were either an SEO, an SEM, or a web designer agency. And in 2007, we kind of coined the phrase digital advertising agency, kind of folded all of these a la carte services into one because it only made sense to.
Right. Wow. And it's cool that you understood the power of Google even back then, because there was only a few people that were really using it right. And like one of those was like Jeff Bezos. A lot of people don't know that Amazon was built on Google PPC. He was like bidding on keywords and stuff for books for years. And so that's cool that, you were around during that time, you understood the power of it, and you worked at a company or with a company that was almost kind of a competitor of that for a while, which is really interesting. So now, like looking at your agency, I mean, what types of clients do you serve or do you love working with?
Well, we prefer We prefer the struggling entrepreneur or corporation that understands they're missing out on the internet, don't really quite know how to approach the internet, and burn victims, self-appointed experts that, undermine a person that lacks the skill set to understand what they're being told or and what how they're being directed. And we turn things around. So if
Mhm.
I were to best describe who we are to our clients, it's next level service provider.
Mm.
And I'll share the spectrum. So if we go from top to bottom in terms of our business peripheral, so we manage campaigns for international companies abroad in Dubai, Abu Dhabi, the UK, Argentina, across the continental US, Canada, and from World Cup 2022 in Qatar to a local salon or limousine company and everything in between that is looking for next level service. I've always been criticized for not earmarking ourselves as an industry niche expert, and I truly believe from the bottom of my heart that I am just um, capsulizing and burying our skill sets by placing blinders around our team and in our agency as a whole. So the very essence of digital advertising is not digital advertising for niche. It's digital advertising. You either have that skill set or you do not. You
Right.
either you either understand business analysis and provide business insight and shorten the supply chain and automate workflows as a tech within your tech stack and your marketing stack, right? So that's why SEOs are really good at SEO, horrible at PPC, don't understand UX, don't understand CRO, and can't really assign a currency to the client. They just know this, they get fixated on this one thing, which is really good. And SEO is not easy, but those days of just a freelance SEO, I think, are dwindling with the advent of AI.
That's true. Absolutely. And you mentioned that word or that term, next level service provider. I mean, it's you guys are obviously deeply involved in the partnership with your clients. How do you foster that collaborative relationship with your clients?
It's really difficult to do not having any prior experience with a new client and onboarding. I would say the onboarding process is what really gets their attention and their guard comes down, and then they make the time that it really takes. Because at the end of the day, we're going to be asking very probing, very challenging questions that the C-suite and business owners and executives don't like to be asked because it's an innate skill set. We just market, we just advertise, we have the budget. But if you ask me why and how and where this data is aggregated from and what those models look like and what are my personas, my brand style guide, when you place light on these things, there's automatic pushback.
Mm.
So we've kind of figured a way to, in a very gingerly manner, to approach these things in small chunks with these milestones that by the time they catch on, we've looked back, we've covered, a lot of land. It's understood that it's necessary to succeed. It's a very
Mhm.
competitive marketplace out there. So smart dollars are very difficult to come by. And ROI is the true measurement. And whatever your KPI is that you're using as a currency to manage and track your success, to hold people accountable, you need on, you're only as good as the information that you provide your partners.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys obviously emphasize the use of AI and data analytics and in crafting your marketing strategies for your clients. How do you integrate these technologies into your services to enhance client outcomes?
Well, we have to be careful. We're in 2025 and 2024, there was a lot of trial and error. We cross-referenced and benchmark various different AI platforms, and the data differs. So that skewed data, we need to sift through and decide what is the best possible outcome. And then the business analyst hat comes on and says, okay, so how do we monetize from this approach? It's got to make logical sense. So we use it for research, strategy, and planning, and a deep dive and very niche, only as good as the prompting is, right? Which it's never good enough because the AI is its trajectory. You're in its afterburners. You never catch up. Amazing. So what's good today is not good tomorrow, and we're at a constant path to evolve from the data that we're able to extract from Google Analytics, right? Then we had another layer of behavioral analytics, like using Hotjar. Now you're applying AI to all these utilities, and it helps you sharpen your tools and gives you more precise, more accurate data, but also it's a it's an education. These AI applications are educating you.
Yeah.
That's their job. It's what it's supposed to. It's not going to tell you what to do. They're reference points. It's up to you as a business owner, as a C-suite, as a consultant, to take that data and deliver a roadmap and say, here's the roadmap. We're going to parse this out over this timeline in small chunks. Or we're going to have these quick, rewards. And as we go down this path, you look back and you have a model. And as these things crystallize, that's the data that you really want to pick, and you hone your craft by optimizing a user path, having a predefined user path with goals and outcomes that are not far off from the recommendations of the AI. It's just equipping you with this tool. You, as a professional, will always need to take those elements and design and develop,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So that's how we leverage AI internally. I'm sure we can have AI automate a lot of workflows and things. I'm not really a big fan of having robots do our work for us yet. We like to use the robots to help elevate and humanize that information by commingling that expertise with the human being.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. I think that it's just not at that point yet where it can replace human tasks, nor should it be. I think we're a long ways away from that. But I liked your point about it streamlining the part about doing market research, which is often a tedious task,
Yes.
especially if you're taking on a client that you don't know much about their industry. So it can really shorten up that process, which is really nice. Now, as a speaker and a thought leader, you've shared your expertise on topics like content strategy and sales funnels. What key insights do you offer to businesses that are looking to improve their digital marketing efforts?
There's two disciplines in thought, and I'm speaking for Aqaba Digital and myself. Um, One, the first is that you have legacy data as a reference. And that should not be the basis of how you draft your strategy. It should be used to take these data points and data sets and model something that can be optimized, right? So that's one perspective. The other perspective and discipline is, how do I drive traffic
Wow.
to a website or a landing page, a sales page,
Right.
and then collect this data and make meaningful recommendations and edits to your ad copy. Maybe as simple as a title, maybe as simple as iconography, maybe imagery, going from long form to short form, or short form to long form, depending on the nature of the business. How do you know this? You need to drive traffic, and that data will crystallize and kind of flatten the beaten path for you, and then you take that data and optimize it, and you do it in such a fashion that they're both, in essence, harmoniously speaking, are the same. You're doing the same thing, but you're taking legacy data that you already have. It's kind of a cheat code, right? You take this data and you know what to do with it. The other is I need to create these data points to something that's non-existent. It's new. Maybe it's a new campaign, maybe it's a new service, maybe it's a new product, or maybe it's a startup company, okay, or just an ill-performing website.
Right.
So then you need to fix those things and you need to optimize and you need to collect that data. So having these repositories of information
Hmm.
and understanding how you collect this information, how you sort it into silos, what are those silos and why those silos, and then how do we homogenize that data into something that's refined and optimized for the best possible outcome that I can provide to my client as a service.
Wow. That's a great answer. I love that. And it all comes down to like just knowing your business, right? And knowing, that provides and knowing your customer too, right? So, Ramsey, this has been awesome. And where can people learn more about you and where can people learn more about your agency?
They're more than welcome to visit our website, aqaba.digital, AQABA dot digital, and they can follow us on LinkedIn. You can follow us on Facebook as well, but I'm actively seen on LinkedIn on a near daily basis. You can hit me up and DM me anytime.
Awesome. Good. Well, thank you so much for being on. This is great.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored. Thank you.